All right. Well, hello and good morning and happy Thursday. I'm Elana, and we are a new streaming network, WGSN-DB, going solo network radio, TV, and podcast, number one internet singles talk network. And I'm Elana with your health vibes with Elana. Hey, look it, I'm the host, Elana with your health vibes. And my journey is to raise your heart, body, and soul vibes to the next level so you can transform your life today. And our topic today is sacred companions, the soul connection with your pets, with the one, the only, Mary Beth. She is an amazing expert in intuitive animal communication, medical intuition, and energy healer. And today, I am so honored to have you on our show. So, everybody, let's give a warm welcome to Mary Beth. Woo! Yeah. All
Wasn't expecting that, but I love it.
right. Good morning.
Good morning. So,
Well,
so yeah, I am now able to claim that I'm an intuitive animal communicator. It came later in life, which always fascinates me because people think that stuff like that you are born with, and I'm here to say, if I was, I didn't know it. I also do, all right, medical intuition, mostly with animals, but humans also have bodies. But I focus on animals, so medical intuition about how animals are feeling, and then healing, energy healing, all types of energy healing, which is a lovely combination because you connect with your animals, find out possibly how they're feeling, and um, and then we do some healing for them. So it's I combine all of those in there, and through this beautiful area that I've fallen into in such a lovely way, I did find out that we have a soul connection with our animals, and so I'm so happy to talk about that, um, and I'll stop there
yeah.
and let you keep us going.
No, I want you to talk. I'm so excited to share this and the soul connection. And I so agree because, we never realize, with our animals or the connection that you really can have. And I love that you're here to explain that beautiful soul connection, how to work with you, what you do. Also, Mary Beth wrote an amazing book. I would love to talk about your book. She has number one, on Amazon with pet loss. And there's just so much. I'm so excited to have the world see you and kind of where you've come from. Maybe we could start off with what did you used to, or how did you kind of evolve into realizing that you can communicate with, animals, and this is the soul connection that you're receiving?
Um, well, it's for me it seems very unique because it was not on the radar. Uh,
Mhm.
Never on the radar. Although I loved animals, I have lots of good memories of being outside as a kid, playing in the stream and finding the animals under the rocks, and just being outside and loving that all the time. Um, but so you fast forward, I retired from the Navy, had a had a cool career there. Went
What did
into
you
it.
do? So
I
sorry to
was a
stop.
Navy officer. Back in the day, they were just getting the idea that women could actually go on ships. So I was not I was not a not on a ship, but
Uh-huh.
my husbands call me a shore duty sailor, and that's the truth. So I did. I love naval humor, but you got to keep it PG. So we won't go too far there.
Well, you can. I'm not all PG. So if you feel like expressing however you want, I'm all about it.
Oh yeah, it started making me laugh so early on. Even my first duty station in Puerto Rico. All right, so we're going there. I walk into the communication station where I'm working, and running it. And there's a sign over the senior chief's office that says Bohica, Bohica. I'm like, what the? And I come to find out it says, bend over, here it comes again. And I'm like, okay, well, welcome to Navy humor, and it only continues. There's so much you can find about. So I learned a good sense of humor there, and
Yes.
sense of the ridiculous, finding humor in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Retired and started in an association, which was really wonderful. And at the end of my time with the association, I have to say it's an intuitive hit.
Yeah.
To strangely enough, to do massage therapy, which I loved. And I didn't realize this, but that started to wake up my intuition, because I was letting my body take over and notice what was going on. It wasn't just the logical mental side. There was another part of me that was waking up. And I also became a Reiki master. One of my classmates was a Reiki master. She taught me energy healing. And I started doing energy healing for people. But somewhere along there, I had two extraordinary experiences with my animals communicating with me, my dogs. Wow. And both of them had passed.
Mm-hmm.
And my dog, Timmy, showed up full body apparition. So far, that's the only time I've ever had something that specific. And he just popped in for a little bit. I've got to tell you, I was at the stove cooking a bad dinner for my poor children. And seriously, out of the corner of my eye, I see this guy sitting in the dining room, one ear up and one ear down. And I go, Timmy, and he's gone. But in that look on his face of joy and happiness. Oh, okay. So I'm like, oh, you're still alive and well, and you're happy. Yeah. I'm like, I can't believe it. And you came back to tell me. You did whatever it took. So, and then I had another one, and then more started coming with animals who were still living in this physical world.
Wow.
And at that point, I wanted to shift over to working with people and their animals, because when I started doing that, people's hearts were so open. When you bring, well, just think about it in this society, especially 15 years ago, you bring your issues with your animal to an animal communicator, you already got a certain sense that there's something special between the two of you.
Yeah, that soul connection, right?
Right, that soul connection. We didn't say it then, and I loved that. I loved being in the energy of that. And so I shifted over once my girlfriend said, Maribeth, that's called animal communication. I said, really? That's a thing?
You're like, I should have had a V8. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So and then I got training and practice, and so they could do it on purpose. And then I've added some other skills through the time, the medical intuition, using more energy healing with combined with animal communication. And again, I don't think I've ever said it quite as clearly as lately, but what I was really desiring to do was to increase the soul connection with people, their animals, possibly through like helping them deal with behavioral issues that are driving them nuts, and how can we improve that relationship, physical issues.
Right. I love that, because you can't communicate sometimes, or you want to ask, like, are you hurt? Like, why are you barking? Like we have a dog and she barks crazy all the time we go. She's a little one. She gets at everyone, and you wonder, it's like, Zoe, what's going on, girlfriend? Like, can you just tell me, like, are you upset? Are you agitated? Like, you just want to be the woman on the block, what it is. So I love to have that type of thing, because we question that, but to have that soul connection where you can slowly connect with them and ask what their needs are, what and how you can show up. And I think it's so beautiful. Can you maybe expand a little bit more?
Yeah, I'd love to do that. What I've found in my own life, and I have found it with other people that I'm working with,
Yeah.
is that when we understand like either the cause, the origin, or their point of view,
Mm-hmm.
our relationship shifts because most of us go, this. Sometimes it's, I get it, or I'm not real excited about this, but still, now I have some information,
Right.
And we got, so yeah, there's like an opening, maybe a patience or a willingness to see that we can still love their imperfections
See,
as
I
much
love
as
that
they
you say
love
that,
ours.
because then that works on ourselves, because, loving ourselves, loving our imperfection. I love that, because you can relate it in both ways. Maybe we can expand a little bit more on that of showing up for ourselves. We could show up for our animals as well.
We do. I have found, let's see, I like to give my own examples.
Yes, please. I love that.
Well, I have found that when I understand what my animals are going through, or I look back and I look back and see how I didn't do a great job with my animals, and then I look into my own life and say, how can I do better? My first dog, I'm looking up at her picture. Her name was Pee Wee. She was a street dog in Puerto Rico.
Oh, I love you. What a great.
My first 3 dogs were street dogs.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico and Hawaii. And she, it's so fun. I have to laugh now. The chaplain, okay, I am living in the Navy, living in Puerto Rico and Ponce. And the Navy chaplain was trying to point out to me that I had a drinking problem. And he gave me a dog. And I think the dog was supposed to focus me in off the drinking and onto the dog.
Yeah.
And sorry, I'm looking at her saying sorry, but I looked back at that and I said, like, you did like a C- at best at dog parenting. And I got sober, and I actually made a connection with her after she passed and said, I'm going to do better.
Oh.
You were a good dog. You were great. I don't know how to go back and like fix all that stuff.
Right.
But I can start now and do a better job. And so I shifted over to being more conscientious, more forgiving, more loving, more whatever that stuff is.
Yeah.
So that's where I've seen my own growth in finding more patience for my animals. Also gives me more patience for myself and forgiveness for myself, and also other people sometimes.
Right? Sometimes. It's growing and learning. And I think too, having compassion for yourself, because, we think, oh, I didn't do this right, or I was a bad mom or here, but that's all you knew. So having a little bit, I think I look at it as having more grace, even just in childhood and like with our parents with certain things. I think that's beautiful to recognize, but also recognize giving that grace to you, like that's all you knew at the time of how, and then it just kind of boosted that to see what you truly wanted. So I think it's beautiful that you say that, acknowledging that, but also giving yourself grace, because, that's all you knew at the time.
That is. And so I think that was part of the assistance in looking back and being honest with myself. Like, you probably would have done a better job if you stopped drinking. And so that's that, and I did quit, and one of my best decisions, and and learned a lot from that. So she was part of my story,
And that's so beautiful too, to like have that her as a part of your story and have that soul connection. And, see that growth and be able to come back and say like, here I am now, and communicate to show that growth, which is so beautiful. And maybe to lead into it, we can kind of talk about your book, Peace with Passing. I would love for you to kind of promote that and kind of talk about, with everything, because we're just talking about passing of stuff, and I'd love for you to talk about that.
Oh, thank you. It was a labor of love and lots of tears, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know how you could write a book dispassionately about people losing their beloved animals, animal companions, their soul connections with them.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've learned is that I am not dissing the relationship we have with the closest humans in our lives.
Right.
But I will say that our animal companions have probably shown us the best example of unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
Probably done a better job of that than our human companions. And we can say that about ourselves too.
100%. I agree with that.
So even in their toughest moments with their behaviors, there's not I don't think they hold grudges. They're looking to get back at us, saying, back 5 years ago, I still remember when you and
when you forgot to let me out and I had to pee. And then I peed and you blamed me.
Yeah, I do. People say, I think, my cat's peeing in the bed. I think she's mad at me. I said, probably it's something else. There's probably some anxiety going on.
Yeah.
But then what I realized is that sometimes then the loss of an animal, especially if we have to make the decision to let them go, which we don't have to with humans.
Yeah.
It's much harder. There's a bigger burden. The loss of that intimate relationship, that soul connection, is devastating to so many of us. And again, I don't want to make anybody feel like that what about my loss of my mom or my dad, or like I lost my husband Winston when he was 45. Yeah, that was a big deal. That was hugely terrible. There's still something of the purity of what my animals have brought me. That's
I can understand that completely. I do Reiki as well, so I understand. We've talked a lot, my show, with vibes, the energy that it is, and to communicate with something. I agree. It's a soul connection with a human, is totally completely different. We do have that, and it's not discrediting and doing that. So I understand what you're saying, because sometimes it's hard to communicate our feeling because we understand that energy and vibe, and the words don't necessarily articulate what we want to share. So I feel you on that, but I love that you are able to write a book about it, and maybe can tell a few more things about that to help someone, not just the human side.
Yeah. So one of the things I like to point out, and that's why I wrote the second edition of my book a couple of years ago, is that our grief starts as soon as we find out that they're probably going to pass. Like we always know that. We know the reality. But when you get a bad report from the vet, some kind of diagnosis, or you see them going downhill, every human I've met, we start to grieve at that spot, at that point in our life. And I wanted, a lot of this book is about how do you start helping yourself and them through that area, that part of their life, to bring in more maybe joy or more good feelings and good energies, so that you've got that when they've passed.
Right.
So one of the things that I'd like to remind people is they didn't get the diagnosis, and they're not going through what you're going through.
Right.
They know how they feel, and they do generally notice how you're feeling, but they're not like, oh, geez, I'm going to die. So the way I phrase that, I got this from a Monty Python skit that I just think is the funniest thing. But it's like they're saying to you, I'm not dead yet.
Right.
Hey,
Yeah.
human.
Still here. Like,
Wait,
don't.
here I am. Yeah. Don't go over there. Be with
Quite.
me now.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to put it in the I'm not dead yet because our heads are actually going to all those places.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I ask is you pull back, acknowledge your grief, but not only acknowledging your grief, but like let it give it a little place to sit in love somewhere, and then focus on what you love about your animal right now and what brings you joy, and how can you two what can you two do together that still brings joy to both of you.
Right.
And usually we'll figure it out. We'll say, okay, so she can't walk anymore, or she can only walk 5 steps, and bring her back in. Okay, we'll do the 5 steps, and walk the other dog his 2 miles, which was a true story with me and my dogs. Or, well, time to get out something to carry her in. Get out one of those little, looks like baby carriages, but they're actually for pets, and so we get them outside. Whatever you have to do,
Right.
start changing what you do, and then bring the joy of. I used to sing this to my dog Stella, and I think singing is a good thing and it's fun. It's like every day with Stella is a good day, because that's where I want to be.
Yeah, I love that. I love singing. I love that energy and what you give, because I mean, I think you and I this morning we were talking on the energy. You're dancing. I love dancing, and starting off, moving our body, and having what we have a choice. We have good days, bad days, embracing the light and dark, and knowing, like, no matter what, we'll get through this. My parents actually just had a comment for us. Thanks, Mom and Dad. They said, this is a fabulous subject. We know that pets make us happier, healthy, and know that they do give us unconditional love. We also wish they could talk to us. We do believe that they just know who we are and are helpful to us and all friends, truly making us happier. Thanks, Mom and
Yes,
Dad.
thank you. Um, so let's see, what else do I love that we also have so many alternative health options that probably I didn't have when Pee Wee was alive. So there's stuff that you can start looking at, and that's actually in my book. And I would ask people to start looking and see what new things can you do to help them be comfortable, because like I'm
Like,
my little
what are some things that make them
acu-
like, what would you say too?
acupuncture is wonderful.
I love
My
acupuncture just for myself in general. I swear by it, so I love that for animals as well. I think it's such a
Absolutely. I took my dogs, and now I've got my cat Bunny going too, and to it because she was slowing down, and it's making a big difference because I what I notice is there's more ability to jump and get around, and she's running up the stairs again, and that stuff works really well. There's also different kinds of they're starting to use a lot of cold laser, and I've seen reports, and I've had that. She gets some of that too. So you
yeah,
see alternative therapy starting with the cold laser. We say cold because it's not like it goes in there and zaps stuff.
yeah.
It provides a certain vibration of healing. That there's been some good things going on there. Uh,
So
and
just with you talk
yeah,
about vibrations and healing, like, so I'm all about that vibes, but maybe you could talk about a little bit that energy of what that healing, like with that Reiki, and what you feel comes from that, of like, is it the environment, what energy, what vibe you give to it, and how you show up is a big thing to connecting with them.
um, let me see how I would put that. So when I do the healing, I like to find out where the issue is and
Mhm.
what the cause is, and so I will go in and do different way. I will conduct different ways of doing this. So I may get specific to a body part. There might be something left from a previous incident that occurred, because we're talking about everything that's a possibility here
Yeah,
with physical bodies. I
right.
mean, yeah, some stuff from past lives that can be released,
Mhm.
and also just helping body systems work better, where you're, what feels like, many times what I notice, it feels like a heaviness
Uh-huh.
or sludgy stuff,
Yeah,
or energy not moving, or even more specifically cords to
they attach
past
like cutting
incidents.
like cutting
Yeah.
cords. I totally get that.
I like to remove them rather than cut them, because I
I
always think of cutting cords is you leave a little piece in. I don't
That
want to
is
do that,
true. I kinda
right?
like that. That is true because sometimes you feel like, yeah, you cut and it can grow, but yeah, removing the cords
Yeah.
is a neat thing. Maybe you could kinda take us through, like, how they could work with you or what happens maybe in a session to kind of maybe explain a little more for someone who has no idea what we're talking about or
Okay. Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
like maybe in a little way, could just explain a little bit
Okay,
more.
so what I usually ask people to do is to just give me a bit of information about what's going on. What's
Mhm.
the focus? So is it a behavioral issue, which also can be like emotional anxiety usually shows up.
Right.
Behavioral as an example, fear, aggression, things like that, or is it a physical issue? And then I
Mhm.
go and check in with the animal and find out, okay, we I give them a specific example. That's where the people come in and I say, what is it that's happening when you see this behavior? Or um, just tell me a little bit, just give me a smidgen about the physical stuff. And then
Right.
I'll go and start to imagine that I'm connecting with them and saying, please tell me or show me now what's going on here.
Yeah.
The animal, bring that in. I also have guides that help me.
Mhm.
So if it's physical, I'll feel in my body different parts, or I'll know different parts. If it's an emotion, sometimes I'll feel it as an emotion,
Yeah.
but in the body. Like if you're anxious, a lot of times you can feel where you're
Yeah.
anxious. I'll feel that. Or so you got physical. I'll also notice what's around them, because our energy is not just in our body, it's around us, it's our whole soul.
Mhm.
What shows up, and a lot of times that's symbolic, but I'll just notice what shows up, and um, that doesn't feel like it's a good. You can I can sense what's not doing well, and
Gotcha.
if from that point, yeah, we do. I usually use guides to release the heavy energy in those different places.
Yeah.
Now, on the other side, if there's an incident that has caused this, whether it's in this life or the past life,
Mhm.
we'll go back in time, quote unquote,
Yeah.
and we'll give them. We'll actually create a new story for them. And if you want to believe that stuff, we'll actually create. We'll jump another timeline and give them an outcome different from what they experienced in the physical
Right.
world.
I
But
love that.
she's like, yeah, it seems impossible, yet I had some really good outcomes. It's if you're really just based in like, what are you talking about? I say, well, let's give him a different memory, because at this point it's all memories. Let's give
Yes.
him this memory and
Having that
release him.
core memory, of and not having the other old memory define who they are to pursue, like,
Exactly.
forward with
Exactly.
that. Oh, I
And
love
and
that.
then Yeah. And then we'd start together, talk about what we'd like this healing to be. Like, how should they feel? How would we like them to feel? How would we like them to enjoy their life? And how would you like to see them and show you that they're having a great time, and like they're enjoying their walks with you, and
Right.
or they're just back to being able to do some things they couldn't do before, or they tell you what they'd like to do next. That's a really broad explanation, but I hope it made some
No, I
sense.
think it's great because, so many people want to know, like, what is this? How do you connect and working with you? And I think sometimes, until we really experience, you can't, I mean, you're communicating beautifully, but I always tell sometimes, like, as us being intuitive, it's like our intuitive guide of, we kind of just feel like, how do you know? It's like, I just know. It's like your intuitive self knows how to show up. So I think, you did a beautiful job of explaining it, because that's what we're doing. We're educating because people don't talk about it enough and aren't educating.
Yeah,
There's so many other beautiful things like you to show this, and you be here to promote that and show people there are other ways to communicate. You can have that soul connection and
we
whatnot.
can.
Is there anything else that people could work with you? Do you do any trainings? Do you do anything so people can work and do things like you do?
I do. I am going to be teaching my next You Connect animal communication class starting the end of August, and it's designed to help you become the animal communicator for your own family. But of course, you will also be able to communicate with other animals in other families, and you will notice probably we even do stuff with wildlife and things like that, practice some things there. So that is a 12-week course where we go include some energy healing in there too, so you can not only communicate but help them
Mhm.
um, in every respect, that you connect and find out that there's something that they need
Right.
some healing for.
Yeah.
Um,
And then how can they get a hold of you for that? Is it going to be on your web? Like, will we have like
it
information
is
about
it,
website and
it,
what is the best way to, if everybody who wants to sign up for this fabulous class?
uh, thank you. If you go to my website, you'll see sacredgrove.com. You'll see work with Maribeth, and then train with Maribeth,
Mm-hmm.
or type in You Connect, UCONNECT. And right now I've got a sign up list. I call it my interest list.
Yeah.
It says get on there, and then I'm going to give you the best deal if you'd like to train with me. So it's not like, oh, you signed up, you got to go do the class. It's
Great.
just sign up, find out, make your decision later.
I love that. And then you can give someone that option because sometimes we're like, what are we getting ourselves into? Or then you feel like but I love that organically that someone can sign up and do for that, of whatnot. So we're almost around the time. I just was wondering if you have anything else you want to share or educate us with, or, this has just been such a beautiful, conversation. And I just hope people will reach out and understand more of having such a beautiful soul connection. So I'd love for you to share any last words or thoughts that you would like to share with the universe.
I would. There's one thing coming through right now. Um, because we make tough decisions for our animals in so many areas, I was given this download that when our animals come to us and they have that soul connection, they chose us and we chose them. It's
Yeah.
something that came. They when they show up, they gave us their medical power of attorney, and I'm using this term because most of us know what that is. If anybody's worked on this stuff,
Uh-huh.
and they said, "I trust you. You may make my decisions." And people, we spend a lot of time beating ourselves over the head and hitting our hearts because we wonder, did we make the right decision? Did we cause more harm than good? Was
Right.
was all this stuff? And so what they have told me and what I've felt all the time is they don't hold grudges. If you made the decision with love and concern,
Mhm.
You don't have to make a perfect decision. You just
Right.
make it with your full heart. That's good enough for them. And
Mm.
they're good with it. They're not going to go back and say, well, you should have done this or you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
They take the love that you have, they take them with that take that you take that with them
Yeah.
in the afternoon life and even in this life.
Oh, I love that. And just being that connected and
Yes,
whatnot, and having that heart center and showing up authentically, which I feel like, you're really showing people that you could, if you show up your true self, then you can show up for your animal and have that raw communication that, sometimes gets blocked.
yes, yeah, exactly. Just
And that's
listen there. Yeah, see what you get.
I love that. And then I would love to share some news since Maribeth is on this with me. And I wanted to share with the world that this is my first podcast as an engaged woman. Woo! So we're going to celebrate good times. Come on. I'm getting married. Woo woo. So I just wanted to say how excited I am. And yay! So one more time. And I love you, Tony, and I'm so excited. So I just wanted to share that with everybody, and my heart is happy. And this just has been a beautiful podcast. I just wanted to thank you for showing up, and everybody, please get a hold of Maribeth. And just want to say my name is Elana, and I am your host with Your Health Vibes with Elana. You can reach me at ef11ca@gmail.com. My number is area code 562-235-8410. My website is yourhealthvibes.com. And we are on this amazing network of WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, radio, TV, and podcast. Number one internet singles talk network. Your Health Vibes with Elana. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Maribeth, my heart is so full and happy. Thank you for let's see. Let's try to get our heart in. Is it going to go? I don't know. There we go. Woo! I'm wrapping you in a big hug, and all the information to reach out to both of us is on the site. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye for now.